Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the massive economic upside of AI while taking a hard look at the very real societal costs. We're living in an era of absolutely unprecedented technological growth. But as history has shown us time and time again, innovation doesn't automatically guarantee shared prosperity. If you're a business leader, a policymaker, or just someone trying to navigate this rapidly changing space, understanding the dual nature of AI is absolutely crucial. We're talking about its incredible power to generate massive wealth, paired with its profound potential to disrupt labor and concentrate power. So let's break down exactly what the data is telling us right now. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll hit the generative AI boom, explore technology, power, and progress, look at AI's uneven labor impact, define the intelligence curse, and finally go over some real strategies for inclusive growth. All right, Section 1, the generative AI boom. Let's look at the actual numbers driving this historic shift. To put things into perspective, the U.S. consumer surplus from generative AI is estimated to reach a staggering $172 billion annually by early 2026. Now, according to the Stanford AI Index report, this social return, which is basically the value everyday users get for practical guidance, technical help, and information seeking, actually far exceeds the private returns captured by the tech companies themselves. The sheer economic value being created here is just mind-blowing. And the speed of this shift? It's completely unprecedented. Generative AI reached nearly 53% population-level adoption in just 3 years. That is moving way faster than the personal computer or the internet ever did. Interestingly enough, countries like Singapore at 61% and the UAE at 54% are vastly outpacing the United States, which is sitting around 28%. But make no mistake, globally, the genie is totally out of the bottle, and it's integrating into our daily lives at breakneck speed. Moving right along to Section 2, Technology, Power, and Progress. Drawing on the phenomenal book Power and Progress by MIT economists Daron Acemoglu and Simon Johnson, we really have to look at this as a 1,000-year historical struggle. Consider the default path, where elites historically captured wealth. Think back to the Middle Ages, right? Agricultural improvements basically just built grand cathedrals for the nobility while the peasants starved. Or even the first 100 years of the Industrial Revolution in England, which delivered totally stagnant incomes for everyday working people. But then look at the alternative, empowering technologies that actually democratize prosperity. The absolutely key takeaway for leaders today is that the path of technology is a choice. We can bring it under control to benefit the many, but not if major decisions remain locked in the hands of a few. Which brings us to Section 3, AI's uneven labor impact. This is where we start seeing the early warning signs. Right now, we are already witnessing what economists call a seniority-biased technological change. Basically, AI is actively substituting junior labor and squeezing out entry-level jobs. For instance, if you look at early career software developers, we're talking ages 22 to 25, headcount has fallen nearly 20% since early 2024. Meanwhile, senior roles are remaining largely intact. These young workers are basically the canaries in the coal mine for the broader AI-exposed labor market. And as you'll see here, the occupational mix is diverging really rapidly. Young workers are totally bearing the brunt of this disruption. It really forces us to ask a pretty terrifying question. When entry-level roles, which have always been the traditional training ground for future leaders, are automated away, where exactly will our senior talent come from in 10 years? But hey, there is a silver lining. AI's labor disruption is tracking almost perfectly alongside the introduction of the internet and computers. What this suggests is that we are looking at a decades-long societal shift, not some overnight apocalypse. For policymakers and corporate leaders, this means we actually have a window of time. We have time to manage this transition, retrain our workforces, and get our strategies right. But we absolutely have to act deliberately. Let's pivot to Section 4, the intelligence curse, where we'll unpack some systemic AI risks. So the first systemic risk is what's known as the intelligence curse. This is the warning that as AI profits fund even more automation, the pressure to keep human citizens productive and politically empowered rapidly diminishes. Think of it kind of like a resource curse in an oil-rich nation, where the elites don't really need to rely on the broader population's labor. As AI substitutes for human cognition, explicit levers like your voting power and consumer choice begin to weaken, and we risk a permanent loss of human influence. Next, we face the alignment problem. This is heavily emphasized by researchers like Stuart Russell. It's the absolutely critical challenge of ensuring AI systems goals are perfectly aligned with human values. The danger isn't necessarily some malicious sci-fi Terminator, it's the flawless execution of a flawed goal. Imagine an AI that's told to maximize paperclip production, right? And it eventually decides to harvest the iron in our blood to meet its quota. If we don't specify values perfectly, the exponential improvement of AI makes it incredibly dangerous. And finally, we have the control problem. Leaders like DeepMind co-founder Mustafa Suleiman point out that we face a massive danger if governments and institutions aren't prepared to contain this technology. If AI and synthetic biology start to converge, maintaining human oversight over systems that can make completely autonomous decisions easily becomes the greatest dilemma of the 21st century. Okay, enough doom and gloom. Section 5, Strategies for Inclusive Growth. Let's talk action. To truly harness AI's value safely, Wharton professor Ethan Mollick suggests we need to fundamentally shift our workplace mindset. We need to start treating AI as a co-intelligence, or basically a coworker, rather than just a software tool or some existential threat. When we approach AI as a collaborator, one that needs onboarding, context, and iterative coaching, we unlock its true ability to augment human capability, rather than simply replacing us. For the project managers tuning in, treating AI like traditional software will literally lead to failure. Enter frameworks like CPMI. Step 1 requires a relentless focus on business understanding. You really have to define the actual problem first. Step 2 is utilizing a strict AI go-no-go checklist before any development even starts. This is exactly how you stop teams from chasing those shiny, cool-looking AI features that ultimately fail to deliver real inclusive business value. On a macro level, for policymakers and institutional leaders, Stuart Russell provides some vital guardrails. We absolutely must demand transparent AI systems where decisions can be audited. We have to break down silos and promote interdisciplinary research, so ethicists are literally in the room with the software engineers. And we need to implement robust testing and monitoring protocols to catch those alignment problems way before a model is ever deployed to millions of users. The technology is already here. And honestly, the economic stakes couldn't possibly be higher. So the question is, will we repeat the history of the Middle Ages and early Industrial Revolution, allowing the incredible wealth of AI to concentrate power among a narrow elite? Or will we deliberately steer AI through rigorous project management, proper alignment, and human-centric design toward real, inclusive prosperity? How will you choose to govern the intelligence of tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.